presents the podcast.
What?
We're back! A dinosaur story.
This is just a generic podcast.
This is the podcast for August. We took the summer off doing podcasts, mainly because at the start of the summer I was deathly sick. Billy was being, I don't remember. Jess was moving, and LB disappeared off the face of the planet. So I am your host, Bill. We dug him up from God knows where, LB. I say hi.
Hi.
And reluctantly he's here, even though he's being a whiny bitch. Say hello to Billy.
Shut the fuck up.
Doesn't Bill have the nicest intros?
Yeah. Hey, you piece of shit. Welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for making time for this.
Thanks,
You
guys.
asshole.
Thanks, guys, for participating. It's something you said you'd participate in.
Precipitate. I got a rain.
This right here, this much was rum. This much was rum.
I should have put rum in this.
Why didn't you? You can. Unless that's beer.
It's not beer. It's A&W cream soda.
Oh, please go put rum in that. That sounds heavenly. So that's what you're drinking. LB, what are you drinking?
Not your father's root beer.
Wow, we're on.
Delicious.
Look at
Out of a Coke glass, I am drinking Coke and rum.
that. Wow, you're not drinking Pepsi out of a Coke glass?
That'd be blessed.
Also, everyone knows Coke is better than Pepsi.
It's true. You know, one tastes
True.
like ass.
And one tastes like Coke.
I don't. We got a lot to cover, so this first half is going to be basically everything we've missed in the last couple months. And then part 2, we're doing a top 15 underrated comedies of all time. That's 5 for each of us. It was going to be 20, but Jess bailed.
Yeah, wait, can you be mean to Jess since she's not here?
No, because I'm mean to Jess every Monday on the Game of Thrones.
That is true. That is true. That is true.
So, I don't know. Where do you guys want to start on this list of stuff?
What's on tap?
Well, I don't want you to list off everything we're going to talk about. So literally on tap is we're talking about news for the past 3 months. And then part 2 is the underrated comedies. Jesus. Get with it, home slice.
There you go. We have 2 things on tap: news and comedies.
Underrated comedies.
Da 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 da.
Wow. So, let's
talk about dead people.
No,
Let's talk about dead
We're going
people.
to start by saying, hey, what have you guys been doing the last couple months? Billy?
I've been relaxing, getting ready for school to start, and I've been trying to clean up movies in my collection that I haven't watched. So today, I just watched Eraserhead, David Lynch's Eraserhead, and I still am kind of confused about my existence in the world.
I was not actually able to sit through that one, so.
I did, and it was weird. It was very weird. So tomorrow is, I'm doing, I think I'm going to watch the first Godfather, because I've actually never watched Godfather. And then I might do a Charlie Chaplin movie tomorrow.
And you just went through a bunch of John Carpenter stuff, did you not?
Mm-hmm. I just watched The Thing for the first time.
Yeah.
It was so good. Bill and I have been talking about old movies.
Now you know why when we did our top 31 Halloween movies, why it was near my number 1.
Yes. It was amazing.
Mm-hmm.
So that's all I've been doing. I've been living a boring life lately.
Speaking about boring life, Selby.
I have spent my. Wow.
Hey, LP,
that was
your boring life.
That was such a good segue. I didn't even notice at first. It was like, yeah, boring life. Okay. I've been working. There you go.
Yeah, exciting.
Working on my house and, watching the latest season on Netflix of the Arrowverse. Those 4 shows. That's how I spend my evenings.
All right.
Perfectly acceptable.
Yeah.
Boring, but acceptable.
Yes, very with my wife and dog. Very,
Chill.
Boring.
Very chill.
boring.
Very chill. No, we're not gonna say it. We're gonna say it's chill. I mean, I've actually been working, so fuck you guys. Putting out stuff. Other than that, things are going well. We switched daycare again. Bobby and Lincoln are fantastic as always. Kids, yay! We're shopping for a new car. I have been playing too much Injustice. All the Injustice all the time. Injustice all the time. Billy doesn't want to play with me anymore, and I think Billy froze. Billy doesn't want to play with me. Like, he almost won a game. Like, I think I was down to like 10 health, and then I stomped him. And he's like, that's it, I'm fucking done.
Billy.
And I never played the game. I haven't played the game since.
Billy, don't play fighting games with Bill. He's a dick.
I don't like fighting games. I don't know why I
they
bought
suck
Injustice
anyway.
2.
It's a fantastic game. It's great.
I'm gonna stick
I
to
made the
playing
mistake of
Overwatch.
playing the Marvel vs. Capcom with Bill.
Which one?
I'm just bad.
I don't remember. Kick my ass in whichever one we played.
Other than that, we've been seeing movies. I took Bobby to his first movie. That was a lot of fun.
What'd you see?
Cars 3.
Oh, we're gonna talk about that.
We gotta talk about that. It was good. Trying to think
How'd he
of-
do?
He did great.
You didn't squirm too much.
No, I mean he did, but we went to the new theater that has like the reclining chairs, and I got him a big tub of popcorn and his own drink, and like we snuck M&Ms in, and I also bought like those little chocolate covered cookie doughs. I fucking wined and dined him. It was great. Now he thinks all movies are gonna be that way.
What? That must have cost you like what, $200?
Nope. Gift cards, baby. Gift cards.
Oh, look at that.
Smart. Okay, let's get into news that you can use. Do you want to cover the dead people first?
What the fuck? Wait, what the fuck was that rhyme? The news you can use?
Have you never been on the podcast before? That's what we
No,
said.
but what do we use it for?
Everything.
Okay, cool. Let's go. Dead people.
It's not news we can use. It's news our two viewers can use
It's true.
to better
And one of
inform
them-
their lives.
Alright, let's talk about dead people.
Okay, so I don't remember who went first. I think it was,
Chris.
or was it Adam West?
Oh, it was Adam.
Okay, so we lost, and I'm going to say it. I'm going to put it on the record right now. The best Batman. Adam West passed away.
Yeah. No, he's the best Batman in terms of like actually having personality and character to it. It was fun. That series was just fun.
It was. Oh, hey. Hey, sorry about that. Parent
Kids.
life. My son came down to visit, so we were talking about Adam West. And it's funny because I was actually going to say that growing up for me, he was my first Batman. Like I remember watching reruns of the Batman TV show.
It's funny that my experience with the Adam West Batman is not long. Like I only watched, I don't know, the movie a couple years ago. But when I was a kid, my dad used to watch a show when I was a kid, like in the early 90s. And it's sad. There's a nice video I'll send to you that they do a great job of memorializing Adam West. And he just wanted to have fun with the character.
Yeah, and
Well, they go.
and honestly, he kind of, I think he saved the character for the time, and then it just ran too long, and then everyone was like, "Oh, it's so dumb." And I remember Movie Bob had a tribute for him, and it was interesting because he goes, it's something that, people backlashed against his TV show so much. Batman's now in this weird rut where he has to be dark and brooding all the time. Dark
Right.
and brooding, and it's like only now are we starting to realize that that's kind of dumb. Thank you, Lego Batman and the Cape Crusader Returns or whatever his animated movie was. And
Yeah.
he's like he also said something along the lines that was really heart touching. He goes, "I've been meaning to make this video for a while, and it seems like I was a week too late, and I can never get it back." And I'm like, this is a guy who loves Adam West. Like he grew up with Adam West, and like, yeah, I will always, the first thing that pops in my head for Batman will always be the animated series, and then like the Burton movies. But I remember sitting on my grandma's bedroom, turning her knobs on the TV to get to like TV Land to watch, Cesar Romero's Joker fight Adam West, and I thought it was so cool. And I was like, this is Batman. This is awesome.
The only thing I will ever not like about that show is I think it really typecast Adam West for the rest of his life. I think he was truly haunted by that role. I mean, even look at the jokes that he played in Family Guy.
Mm-hmm.
He played Catman, like I feel like the poor guy never really escaped that role once he was done with it, like everyone else who has played Batman did.
Except Michael Keaton, because he's a goddamn madman. We'll get to that.
Yeah.
Next up was Chris Cornell, who this one hurt a lot for me. This one hurt on all kinds of levels because I grew up listening to Temple of the Dog and Soundgarden. I owned his first solo album, and I owned the first Audio Slave album, and like it was like the first time that I learned a singer's name, and it was like, oh man, Chris Cornell is the shit. I love him. He's fantastic. He has the most unique voice, and honestly, because of it, I have to say that You Know My Name is now my favorite James Bond song. Period. It was neck and neck with Adele's Skyfall, but you know what? I'm sorry, I have to give it to Chris Cornell now. I mean, right. LB, you remember my ringtone for the whole time we knew each other was always "You Know My Name," the trumpet fanfare opening. Ba-na, da-na, da-na, na-na. That one? Yeah.
I didn't know what that was.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now you know.
Yeah, from Casino Royale. It's like hearing that he hung himself, right?
Yeah.
I believe so.
Yeah, and then was it you, Billy, who saw him the night before, or one of your students?
It was one of my students saw him.
Yeah.
And they came back and were like, holy crap, he's dead. And it was a really weird thing to kind of talk with one of my students about, was that they had seen Chris Cornell literally, 12 hours before he was dead.
And I remember you did the cool thing because you always play music for your fourth hour.
Yeah, for my class. I play music every day. We do our band of the day. So for the next few days, it was Soundgarden, and then it was Audio Slave, and then third day I played his solo acoustic cover of Billie Jean.
Which is amazing.
It's amazing. Just to kind of give a little tribute to him, and kind of got to talk about the music with my kids. It was kind of fun. But it's definitely a hard thing for the rock community as a whole. Like Soundgarden and Audio Slave are definitely staples of modern alternative.
Yeah, and like I'm not ready to dive into all the covers that like all the bands are doing. I'm not ready yet. Me talking about a guy I don't know at all, but just like he was a main crutch of Little Bill growing up. Little Bill.
Yeah.
And then for that to happen, followed by Chester Bennington, who, from a lot of my friends' reactions, had the same reaction towards him that I had to Chris Cornell. Like, I was never a big Linkin Park fan. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. I never was, but there were plenty of people who are, and it sucks. Like, it's. I'm not taking away from like, oh, Chris Cornell means more. No. The loss to Chester Bennington is just as big to the alternative rock community as anything.
I'm still destroyed over David Bowie.
Yeah. So
like I whenever I hear a David Bowie song, I get a little bit sad. Like, for me though, like their first 2.5 albums. So like Hybrid Theory and Meteora, for any kid who grew up in the early '90s and like rock, was like, those were albums. Those were like kind of Linkin Park was the first concert I paid for with my own money to go to. And then their third album, and I can't remember the name of it right now, but it was their first Transformers song album. Was half of it was really good, and the other half was kind of shit.
Back when we didn't know that Transformers 1 was going to be the best movie.
Yeah. Well, and it's funny looking at, so like they just had a new album come out. Like they were touring when he killed himself. The thing is though, like I saw so many people on my Facebook feed being like, oh, I just criticized that album for being so shitty, and I feel really bad about it now. I'm like, dude, don't feel bad about it. They were putting out garbage music for the last 3 years. Yep. Like Linkin Park has wholly become a meme in the last like 5 years. Like they've really just become a joke. In terms of like their lyrics and stuff, but like I don't know, you know how like your music changes, your taste changes as you grow up.
Yeah.
Like when I was a kid, Linkin Park was the shit. Like Hybrid Theory was my shit. I played that whole album all the way through, day in and day out. So, and I think it opens up that bigger conversation of like we need to talk about mental health, and we need to look at artists, and we need to talk about artists and their mental health as well.
Well, it's again like with Bowie. He knew it was coming, it wasn't like a mental dip. It was a disease that was eating away with him. With Cornell and Bennington, it was both the mental disease of the mind that we don't talk about because it's taboo. And one thing that I really loved was that everybody posted, hey, this is the line to call if you're having a problem. please
Right.
reach out. There are people in your life that love and care about you, even if you don't think so. And if there's one positive we can take away from these two, rock community staples being gone, is hopefully more people know about that.
Yeah. Here's hoping.
Listen, you can email us at any time, and we will hear you out and then make fun of you.
That's part of the healing process.
That's part of the healing. You just deal with it, man.
Okay, can we not talk about suicide anymore?
Yep, we're done. Moving on to...
Did Bill freeze?
No, I'm still here.
Oh, he's back.
I'm
You
still
froze for me.
I'm still good. Don't worry about me freezing.
Okay.
My internet has been janky for the last 3 weeks. I need to call Comcast and yell at them.
That is true. Me too.
The movies we've missed over the time. Some of these we're gonna have reviews out. Some of them we're gonna do reviews for, but we're just gonna cover the things, and if we've seen it or not. I need to be a little bit quieter because Bobby is awake. So number one, we have Spider-Man: Homecoming. LB has not seen this movie.
I don't know why I haven't seen this movie, but I have not seen it.
Billy, you saw
That-
it.
Yes, that was like a first weekend see for me.
I'm gonna say this. It's was it you, Billy, or Chris Krause who told me this one about how the depiction of Vulture in this is almost almost like the animated series Batman, what they did to Mr. Freeze. They took they took a totally lame character like the Vulture and turned him to an awesome badass that you can't take your eyes off of.
Good.
Yeah, here's the thing, and I've said this multiple times, I think, at least straight to you, Bill, I don't know if on the podcast, but I'm getting tired of Marvel movies. I'm getting burnt out. I'm getting bored. We're going to talk about it because it's in our trailers list, but Ragnarok looks like it's going to be something fresh, and Black Panther looks like it's going to be somewhat fresh. But I'm getting bored. I'm ready for Infinity Wars. I'm ready to get that on. I'm ready to get that Avengers 4 and Avengers 3. And I'm ready for that like soft reboot within the universe.
Yeah.
Because we need a shake up. And Spider-Man was good, don't get me wrong. But it's just the same formula.
It's the same formula, and honestly, even though he wasn't overused, Robert Downey Jr. in it was a hindrance towards me. Tom Hiddleston is the best Spider-Man, hands down. He nails both Peter Parker and Spider-Man.
Okay. Yes.
Well, Andrew Garfield hit a really good Spider-Man, but was a pretty weak Peter Parker, and Tobey Maguire was a great Peter Parker, but he was not Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And I will also say that this is the best Spider-Man movie. It is not the best movie with Spider-Man in it. Like,
yes.
As a movie, I will tell you, like, if I remove my fandom of Spider-Man 2, Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 2 is the best movie with Spider-Man in it. Okay.
Yeah.
But it wasn't a good Spider-Man movie, if that makes any sense. Like,
No.
This one hits it perfectly, putting him back in high school, doing a bunch of kid things, and like him fighting over if he wants to crash a party as Spider-Man and talking to himself is totally what Spider-Man would do in a comic shells.
Well, and that's the most exciting thing about Spider-Man is the tearing between him trying to be a kid and growing up and then being a superhero.
And them not focusing on one thing that I really hate is the Parker luck, where he's just really bad at managing things. This one is bad at managing because he's a kid and he's never been a superhero before. And
right.
It works. And LB, I'm going to tell you right now, there's a car scene. And it is the best scene in the movie, and there's no action at all.
Yeah, it's a very good word scene.
It's a very good word scene. Yeah, and Michael Keaton, again, my one and biggest complaint is, why is he not your Norman Osborn? Because he is so good.
My one and biggest complaint is they didn't make a Birdman joke. I was waiting so much for like someone to be like, oh no, he's like a Birdman, and then
he's a guy in a bird costume.
For me to just silently chuckle, as Michael Keaton holds his best movie Oscar up and is excited.
He got robbed.
Yes.
Moving on to the other Marvel movie that came out, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. LB, did you see this one?
Bill, I can't remember the last movie I saw in theaters.
Okay, Bill and I are holding this one down.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
Uh,
I expected that. I mean, LB literally buried himself under a rock called work, so I understand.
Yeah.
Literally, LB doesn't get out unless we force him out.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I think I said this to you already, Billy, but I liked it more than the first one. I might
Yeah, I
be the
did too.
minority.
No, I did too.
But one of the things is, like, when everyone went to go see Volume 1, they didn't know what they were getting.
Mm-hmm.
I knew what I was getting because it's a James Gunn movie. So
Right.
I wasn't too surprised by it. I thought it was really, really good. But I wasn't surprised. This one surprised me by having a great villain. I don't care what anybody says. The main villain
Yeah.
in the movie was awesome. Kurt Russell was in it, so that's 20 points to Gryffindor right there. Michael Rooker, is that his name?
Yeah, Michael Rooker.
Stole the show, hands down.
Yeah.
And like all the new cast was great. The old cast everyone had an arc. Like that was the one thing I really enjoyed, that every character had its own specific arc and it worked. The album is fantastic. I know you've been rocking out to it, Billy. I've been rocking out to it all the time. My Lincoln loves Come a Little Bit Closer. He dances to it. Come a little bit closer.
Oh, that's cute.
Which that scene is hilarious because there's that light-hearted song playing about, you know, a girl cheating on him, and it's just Rocket and Groot and Yondu murdering people, and Rocket just starts laughing hysterically, and it's great.
Well, and it's my problem. My biggest problem with Guardians 1. I like Guardians 1. I'm a fan of Guardians 1. But it's the same thing whenever you get a series where you have to get a bunch of characters together. You never really have enough time to spend on their backstory. And we spent like the first half of that movie trying to figure out who these characters were. Greatest thing about Part 2, we already know who these guys are from the second the movie starts.
And we
They're
just
now start layering.
And one thing that's really cool is I'm just like, I have some favorite lines that I'm not going to spoil because it's like spoiler heavy because I want LB to enjoy it. But one thing I really, really liked is that Drax didn't have a big action scene to be his arc. In fact, his arc was just sitting around talking to Mantis, and it was fantastic. Like the scene where he's talking about, you know, seeing like these pools and lakes with his daughter is an amazingly powerful scene.
And then they followed up with some real good comedy.
Yeah.
Like let me say this though, if you've seen any of the Marvel movies, it's like I have a friend who's watching all of the Marvel series for the first time. I've been lending him all my copies, and he's right now I think he just finished. He's caught up, and I was like, hey, tell me a joke you remember from Iron Man 1, and he's like, what? I don't remember. I go, tell me a joke you remember from Thor. He doesn't remember. I go, tell me a joke you remember from Guardians of the Galaxy, and he goes, nothing will fly over my head. My reflexes are too quick. I will catch it. And I'm like, see, that's why Guardians is great. I could sit here and rattle off 4 or 5 jokes from Guardians 2 because that movie is memorable.
See,
you know?
And the thing is, I can remember jokes from Thor because I was blown away by Thor because I thought Thor was going to be like the worst thing ever. So for it to be good, I was like, okay, that's great. So like, you know, you would name a joke from Thor. This is delicious. I'll have another smash. Or
okay.
Or I need a horse. We don't have horses. I need the largest thing you can ride.
Okay, I get with you on that one, but I still feel like Guardians is the most personally memorable characters.
I'm not going to argue with you on that at all.
Yeah, so I was very happy with it. It's right up there next to Logan for me as best superhero movie of the year.
Dunkirk. I didn't see it.
It was good. There's a lot of people who have a lot of problems with it in terms of how it tells the story. I won't talk too much about it. Maybe you guys can see it and we can do a full thing on it. But good World War II effects. It is the complete antithesis in war movies to Saving Private Ryan.
Okay.
Where Saving Private Ryan is about saving one man and getting one man out alive, Dunkirk is about an entire army of 300,000 people trying to live. The one thing I will say is the guy from One Direction is in it.
Did he get shot?
No, and he is actually a fairly decent actor. I was fairly surprised with him.
When Saving Private Ryan came out, it was my favorite Vin Diesel movie because he got a bullet in the head.
Yeah, exactly. So Dunkirk's good. Check it out. It's worth it. I haven't seen the next one.
The Dark Tower, I saw it. We're doing our review on it as soon as Sprott gets back to me. It's just okay. The one thing I said to somebody was, we live in a world where reviewers get things out right away, and everyone's ripping it to shreds, and it's not, because we live in a world where if a movie's not great, it's bad, and if it's not so bad that it's awesome to watch, it's terrible. And Dark Tower is the perfect example of a 5 out of 10 movie. It doesn't overstay its welcome. It's okay. It doesn't do anything fantastic, but it's enjoyable to watch.
And here's the thing: there's those gut, visceral reactions to movies that I don't think work. Like, there are movies I know that I've watched that I hated the first time I watched it, but the more I watched it, the more I liked it, or the more I got to figure it out. So I'm a little apprehensive on reviews.
I mean, it's like, the thing is, Idris Elba does a great job. Matthew McConaughey kind of phones it in, and it's a very condensed version of the 7 or 8 books. So,
yeah, I'm pretty much looking to see now on reviews if movies tank. If they get 0%, I know they're probably not very good.
Yeah.
If they get 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, I use it as a judgment.
That's the thing. Like, The Dark Tower is getting like a 13 on Rotten Tomatoes.
Really?
And I'm like, it is literally a 5 out of 10 movie. Like, it's nothing. There's nothing that made me go, oh my god, this is unwatchable, or oh my god, this is so bad that I'm bored. It was just there.
We should do a talk about this.
Okay.
A culture talk.
Baby Driver. I haven't seen it yet. I want it really bad.
It is my favorite movie I've seen this year. It is hands down my favorite movie I have seen this year. Baby Driver's from Edgar Wright, Shaun of the Dead, Hot Fuzz, Scott Pilgrim. So obviously Ant-Man, kind of. So his previous work is amazing. The most beautiful thing about this movie, and the opening scene is actually posted like legally on YouTube from like Sony Germany. If you watch that clip and you like it, you'll love the entire movie. It's got John Hamm in it. It's got who plays the Punisher.
Yep, the Punisher. That's what he is now.
You know who I'm talking about. John Bernthal.
Kevin Spacey.
Kevin Spacey. It's got a lot of big actors in it. The best thing about the movie, this is the selling point of the movie, is all of the action scenes are completely synced up to music. So there's this part, the song, you would probably know if you heard it, Radar Love by Golden Earring.
Yep. Radar
there's that part. Yeah, there's that part where it does that drum thing where it's doing that do-do-do-do-do-do. And during that part, this guy's shooting machine gun, synced up exactly to the beat of the drum. I've never been more like on the tip of my seat watching a movie. Like the car squeals are synced up to music. The dialogue is synced up to music. The police sirens are synced up to music. It's so well done. The action's great. I've seen it in theaters 3 times.
Wow.
And it's the first movie I've seen in theaters multiple times. And I hope it gets some sort of nomination this year. But if you have not seen it, it is worth running out there and seeing it.
Like I said, I want to. I want to really bad.
Bill's favorite movie of the year.
Alien Covenant. We already did a review on it. There'll be somewhere over in the sidebar. It was bad. It was garbage fire. So like Billy was like, it was all right. No, it was garbage fire.
So, but in all honesty, I am not a Alien purist as Bill is here.
Characters acted like they were in cliche horror movies instead of
that's true.
Intelligent characters that we've seen in all 4 of the original Alien films. I'm
and
sorry.
Prometheus.
No, Prometheus loses points from the school of running away from things, Prometheus style. Straight line.
Zigzag.
Serpentine.
The first time I watched that movie, which was literally about 6 months ago, I was literally screaming. I was like, jump to the left, jump to the right, do something.
It's just a jump to the left.
I've never been more frustrated with a film in my entire life as Prometheus.
And that was Alien Covenant, the movie, the frustration. And you're supposed to care about these characters, and you don't. And then there's androids playing flute with one another. It was bad. Expect
what?
Yeah, there's a part where David makes Walter, who's also played by Fassbender, play a flute, but Walter is missing a hand, so he goes, "You blow, and I'll do the fingering." I shit you not, that's an actual line from the movie.
Yeah, I remember that. I giggled at that. I giggled like a 12-year-old. He said finger.
It was so bad. Okay, Cars 3.
Speaking of giggling like a 12-year-old.
Cars 3. It's actually what Cars 2 should have been.
I was impressed.
It-
I was happy with it.
Yeah, it was a pretty good movie in the sense.
Complete context. As someone who doesn't have kids, I saw this movie. I work for a summer camp, and these next two movies we talked about, I saw as summer camp field trips. The second one I'm not proud of. This one, proud of.
This one is Bobby's first movie because he loves cars, so I took him to go see it, and I was worried that it was going to be as bad as Cars 2, but it wasn't. It was actually pretty good.
Huh.
I won't say great because it had a one-note villain. You could kind of see where it was going from a mile away, but it was very much the same heart that made Cars 1 good and not like all the sequels they've done since.
It's a stereotypical story too, but
Yeah, but it was good. Up next, the Emoji Movie. And moving on to trailers.
Wait, hold on. Let me. Can I want to talk about that.
You don't get to defend yourself. Nope, you're done.
No. I had to see this movie for summer camp. And you can pretty much go out and watch any of the reviews on YouTube about it to kind of get the gist of it. But to be honest with you, it's this movie's horrifying to me. How blatantly uninspired the film industry can be at some points. The movie's not funny. The movie is not like there's kids movies. Cars 3, I laughed at a couple of things.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I can pop in any amount of kids movies. Moana, I can laugh at a couple of things. I can enjoy watching Moana. You know, I tried to laugh at Emoji Movie. I tried to enjoy it. I tried to go in with a clear mind and say, hey, I'm going to give it a shot. And it's literally depressing, the filth that some movie studios push out. And this is literal filth. They say hashtag whatever. And the only joke, there's one joke that got me. There's a part where they're like walking down the Emoji City or whatever. Textopolis, I'm sorry. And there's a bunch of old school emoticons, like the colon with the P for like winky face. And they knock him over, and they're like, oh, sorry, we're assaulting the elderly. And then one of them goes, oh, my colon. And I laughed, and that was the only time I laughed. I don't know if you saw all the stuff TJ Miller was posting on Twitter.
No.
About how he was going to commit suicide. Yeah, he like went on this Twitter rant at like 1 a.m. He's like, I'm going to kill myself, and you guys will be happy about it. And I just tried to make the Emoji Movie for fun, and... It's a shit show. It's a train wreck. I hope people say no to it. I hope it doesn't make any money. I hope it fucks them over. And I hope Sony gets a better standard for film.
Sony might be closing down. They've lost over like $1 billion.
Go ahead. Good riddance.
Moving on to trailers. Something LB can actually talk about.
Yay.
What one do you want to hit first, LB? You talk. Here you go.
Let's talk about Thor.
Thor Ragnarok.
What's wrong, Billy?
The movie I'm most excited for.
Oh.
I don't like Thor movies. I didn't like Thor 1. I didn't like Dark World. The second I saw this trailer, I was like, yes. As soon as I hear like Led Zeppelin hit, I was so pumped.
I realized why I'm going to like this movie just now.
Why?
Because it's a Hulk movie, too.
Well, it's basically Planet Hulk, too.
Yeah.
It's Thor,
like
buddy cop movie.
Yeah, they said it's a buddy cop movie in space. I'm like, perfect. Have you seen the one, LB, where the Hulk actually talks?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Yeah, I'm excited for it.
I enjoy that this movie is kind of like breaking the chains that were put in place for Thor, where it's like, oh, you have to be this and this, and it's like, we're Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 now. Okay, let's just deal with it.
Yeah, that's what it felt like.
And Jeff Goldblum's there, and it's gonna be great.
Yeah,
I don't know what to say other than I'm excited for this movie. It's either gonna be an amazing, beautiful train wreck, in which case everyone's gonna love it because it's an amazing, beautiful train wreck, or it's going to be something so outstandingly crazy that it's gonna get all the hype like Guardians 1 did.
I'm hoping it's good. I'm hoping it breaks the formula of these Marvel movies.
We had a fight. Did I win? No, I totally won. That doesn't sound right. Billy, what do you want to talk about for the next trailer?
I want to talk about It.
Okay.
So I'm mixed.
The kids look great. The setting looks great. Pennywise himself isn't doing it for me. He's too much of a demonic clown instead of the playful clown that turns into a monster then eats you.
Yeah, I feel like this is going to get hashed into another generic horror film.
Yeah, and the thing is, there are moments in the trailer that you can see set up to be truly frightening. Mm-hmm. Especially the new trailer where you see, I don't remember the kid's name, but the brother to Georgie, and Georgie's running around the house, and he's following Georgie. And he goes downstairs, and the floor is flooded, and Georgie's sitting there and goes, "You can come with us. If you come down here, you'll float too." And then slowly, Pennywise rises out of the water. And that's cool.
Yeah, well, that's atmospheric horror, and then I feel like the rest of the movie is just going to be jump scares.
Probably. So, the cool thing, though, about it is that in the book, Pennywise only appears every 27 years, and it is exactly 27 years since the Tim Curry movie.
Oh, that's cool.
So someone did their homework.
Perfect.
LB, pick another one.
I just watched it, so let's talk about Ready Player One.
Okay, so tell me about Ready Player One.
So, I know nothing of this movie except for the trailer I just watched.
All right, it's a book. It's a book.
It's a book?
It's a book about how in 2042, there's an energy crisis, or like fossil fuels are gone, we're overpopulated, and everyone escapes to this virtual reality where they can be anything they want. But the person who made it died without kids and left basically an Easter egg hunt in the world for someone to find, and will get his fortune. So it's Willy Wonka in the digital space, and basically is just one giant reference after another. So.
I saw the DeLorean and Iron Giant and all that in there.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting that the first reference they started with was Iron Giant. I'm like,
actually,
it's not the most culturally relevant.
No, the first reference actually is when he first puts it on. It's Harley Quinn and Deathstroke.
Oh, whatever.
Walking out of the bar, and then it's Iron Giant, and then you get the race car scene.
There's like Freddy Krueger.
Freddy Krueger and Duke Nukem, and then the race car thing. You see the A-Team van, and Starsky and Hutch car, and Laura Croft is there apparently. And then when they're driving, you see the Akira bike and Mad Max's car.
I feel like it's gonna be like that episode of Rick and Morty where it's like, hey, it's a wacky Where's Waldo? Like it's gonna just feel like a Where's Waldo movie, and you're just gonna see all these different characters. It's gonna get annoying. I feel like it's gonna get annoying.
Yeah.
Also, I love the fact that it says from revolutionary film mastermind Steven Spielberg. It felt like such a fucking jerk your own dick off, Steven Spielberg.
Yeah, when was Steven Spielberg's last good movie?
Did you say Spiegelberg?
What was Spielberg's last good movie? Let's look it up here. Steven Spielberg.
Super 8.
Did he actually direct this one?
Yeah.
I think he Super 8 was kind of good.
Yeah, he didn't direct Super 8 though.
Super 8.
Did he produce it?
Yes.
J.J. Abrams directed it.
It was something like that. It was a J.J. Abrams Spielberg.
It was a cash grab. They put his name on it for a cash grab. I don't think he's done anything good in a while.
People like Lincoln, I guess.
Oh, it's okay. That's a niche movie.
Oh, he did the BFG Bridge of Spies. Yeah, he's in a lot more of the smaller movies. I guess you could, not smaller, but like.
But really, the last truly big.
Not the big sci-fi epics. Indiana Jones and the King and the Crystal Skull, Bill. That's his last.
The last.
There's only 3 Indiana Jones movies. There's only 3 Indiana Jones movies.
The last good, critically claimed and like popular movie was Saving Private Ryan. Because then you have AI, Minority Report, which bombed. Catchy Me If You Can, which gained popularity later. The Terminal, which never took off. Everyone hated World. Munich was a sleeper in the box office. Indiana Jones. Warhorse, nobody saw. Adventures of Tintin was a sleeper. Lincoln was, critically acclaimed but didn't go anywhere. Bridge of Spies was forgotten, and BFG bombed.
Well,
there you go.
The mighty have fallen.
And half of them starred Tom Hanks.
Someone look up Ready Player One. Is he in the movie somewhere?
Probably is.
He's the bad
Okay.
guy.
Okay, I'm down.
It's not a specific direction film, though, is it?
Try too hard not to judge it until it comes out, but we'll see.
Let's.
Bill, pick another one.
We're gonna cut some stuff out here for time.
Oh, it is. Never mind.
Yeah, we're
Sorry,
running
go
late. Deadpool 2 dropped a picture of Cable and Domino. Billy, talk about it.
I'm not a huge Deadpool fan. I mean, I like the first movie. It's Josh Brolin, right? It's Cable.
Mm-hmm. And he looks great.
Cool, fine with it. Give me a trailer. I'll be ready to talk. This is 2 pictures. It's Domino laying on top of Deadpool, and it's Josh Brolin looking at the camera like, haha, I have a gun, pow.
That's
So
exactly how it went.
yeah, and so I don't know. Yeah, cool. I'm excited. Yay, Cable. Cool.
And that's gonna be it for the first chunk. And we will be back with our top 5 or top 15 underrated comedies. Stay tuned. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Over a Couple of Drinks. Our quick 10-second interlude was enough time for you to pause the video, find something else better to watch, go away for 2 days, come back and go, what is this shit? And push play.
The continue watching section of your YouTube homepage, where 99% of our viewers lie.
Thank you, Grandma Nana, for sticking with us. You're our favorite. And John, if you're watching, play me in Injustice and I'll kick your ass. What? So tonight,
That's a call out right there.
yeah, I beat him in that game. I think I have more hours in that game than him. So we're talking about our underrated comedies. Now, for me, as always, I make a bunch of stipulations about it. An underrated comedy isn't a cult classic. It isn't critically acclaimed. And it's just something that fell under the radar for whatever reason. Okay? I don't know if you guys follow those rules or not. I don't really care.
Cool.
We're also putting in the ability to veto. So each of us have a veto to say that movie does not classify as underrated.
Okay.
Okay? It's strictly to be underrated, not the, oh, I don't like that movie, but like if it's, say someone goes, well, my number 1 is Zoolander. No, that's a cult classic. Okay? That movie blew up. Okay? So honorable mentions go to every sports movie I ever loved. The Replacements.
Sounds like you're talking about an ex-girlfriend.
Here Comes the Boom and Goon. Those are all underrated comedies that everybody should check out.
I haven't seen any of those.
The Replacements is actually on my list.
Oh, is it? Okay, then that is off
Yes.
the list because I love that movie. I just didn't have a place to put it. So starting with our number 5s. Who wants to go first? And then we're going to popcorn across. Billy?
I'll take it.
And then your
I
number
actually own my 5 movies.
I
Most
own
of my movies
four.
are
I own 4 of my 5. The other one I can't find anywhere on DVD.
Most of mine are relatively newer, but so the first movie I'm going to go with is Deathgasm. It's a movie that came out 2015, so it's a couple years old. It is, from what I've been told, or from what a lot of people say, it's kind of a weird spiritual successor to Evil Dead, but not really. Couple of kids in a metal band find ancient music that summons Hellspawn, and they go through the entire movie trying to murder and kill these Hellspawn with anything they can. There's a beautiful scene in this movie where they're in a hotel room. They get attacked by zombies, and the only thing they have to fight them with is giant rubber dildos. And it is a complete scene in slow motion with them like swinging these dildos and like hitting zombies in the face. It is terribly funny. And not a lot of people have seen it, and it was made on a super low budget too, but definitely worth checking out. The special effects in it are really good. The gore is really good, and it's pretty funny too.
That reminds me, I should probably put that on honorable mentions as well. Knights of Badassdom. That's totally an underrated one, but I have a feeling.
Oh yeah,
I have a feeling, I have a feeling that's gonna go cult classic. So, pick somebody. Do you want to go next, Billy?
Bill, go ahead.
My number 5 spot is a little controversial because I didn't know if I want to put this on here or one of my sports movies. Was the 1991 flop known as Oscar. It stars Sylvester Stallone. I just watched it tonight to make sure if it was actually funny or if it was nostalgia talking. It is a slapstick comedy that would work brilliantly as a play because it revolves around a house and confusion. It takes place in 1931. Stallone plays a character named Angelo Snaps, because he snaps at everybody. He's a mobster. Provolone, or as everybody calls him, Provolone.
Oh, God damn it.
Who makes a promise to his dying dad that he'd stop being a gangster. So the whole thing takes place between the hours of 8 o'clock and noon at his house. Because at noon, he's meeting with bankers during the Great Depression to give them money so he can become a banker and become a legitimate person. And there's his accountant who steals $50,000 from him and asks to marry his daughter, which causes this whole thing happening about him trying to get the $50,000 back with a black bag filled with jewels. Then the maid has a black bag filled with her underwear, and it keeps getting swapped back and forth. And they add another black bag filled with money, and it keeps getting swapped back in and out and in and out. And the accountant wants to marry his daughter, but not his actual daughter. There's another girl who claimed she was his daughter to impress him, so she stops by. So then there's a huge confusion. It's just a whole mess of confusion. It's played really fast, really funny, and it's something worth checking out, even if it's not the best movie. It's only like an hour and 45 minutes. I found it on YouTube, actually. And it's supposed to be zany, and like someone with a theater background could go like, why didn't this adapt it to a play? Because it would be hilarious on how fast things would have to move. And then there's a bunch of people in it. Like Tim Curry's in it as a professor of language, and he's teaching Stallone how to speak properly instead of like a gangster. So it just Curry having so much fun over pronunciating everything. I laughed at it a lot tonight, and I remember growing up watching it going, man, this movie's fucking hilarious. LB, number 5.
My number 5 is Problem Child. It's a 1990 movie starring John Ritter. I haven't seen it in a long time, so this may be nostalgia talking. Billy, you familiar with this movie?
I watched all 3 of them.
Yeah, I've not watched the third one, Bill. So basically, John Ritter adopts this 7-year-old child who is a bit of a monster, and he's just completely ruining his life, and he decides to take him back to the
Beethoven, except for the kid.
It's like Beethoven, except with a kid. So he decides to take him back to the orphanage, and Gilbert Gottfried's the orphanage guy, and he's like, okay, this kid's been returned 30 times, so John Ritter's like, all right, I'll give him another chance. And then Michael Richards plays this serial killer who's pen pals with the kid, and he comes and he abducts the kid and the wife, John Ritter's wife. And so it's pretty funny in my memory.
I haven't seen it in like 20 years, so I remember laughing at it a lot when I was a kid, but like the same thing with Oscar was like I had to watch Oscar again to make sure if I could go on the list, because I'm like, is it actually a comedy? I'm gonna like probably watch Problem Child this weekend and get back to you.
Yeah, it's still good up here. All right, that's it, Billy.
Billy's on number 4.
Number 4 came out in 2010. Tucker and Dale vs. Evil.
I so want to call that a cult classic.
Really?
I do.
At 2000, first of all, a 2010 movie.
7 years.
I'm
gonna pass it because I love the movie. I love that movie.
Comedically great. If you don't say you know who Alan Tudyk is, you do. He's been in like every Disney movie since. He's been like the last. And he was also K2SO in Rogue One.
Firefly.
Also
Wash.
Firefly. He has a great show online called Con Man, which is hilarious.
I've never heard of it.
He plays basically a caricature of himself, with Nathan Fillion playing a caricature of himself. They used to be on a sci-fi show that got canceled too early, and everybody loves it. And he has to make a living by going to conventions, and Nathan Fillion is playing the high life because he went off and got famous. Sound familiar?
Yeah. Great movie if you've never seen it. Two hillbillies in the woods. It's kind of a comedy of errors. It's a kind of like a mishap movie. These teens think that these two hillbillies are trying to kill them when really they're just trying to make friends with them, and they fall in love with one of the girls. And there's some, I guess my 4 and 5s are both have really gruesome violence in it, but as a way of comedy.
It's hilarious. It really is.
Have you seen it, LB?
Yes, I have several times.
Amazingly funny, amazingly well done.
I love the line of
supposedly,
I know what's going on here. What? These kids are made a suicide pact and they're killing each other. Oh my god, that makes so much sense. Which
there's supposedly a second one. They're supposed to be working on Tucker and Dale vs. Evil 2.
Have you ever seen Reaper, Billy, the TV show?
No.
The guy who plays I think Tucker Dale
Tyler Labine.
Yeah, he's in it and he is just as funny as he is in that. Reaper is about a kid whose soul is spot out by the devil and he becomes the devil's bounty hunter. And it's totally ridiculous. It's like partially written by Kevin Smith, and he is hilarious. He plays a character named Sock.
Right. Yeah, it's a great movie. I think it was on Netflix for a while. That's how I found
it. Is still.
If you haven't seen it, you need to go check this one out. If you can't classify it as cult status now,
it will be in 10
years. 5 to 10 years down the road, it will be. This will be a cult classic. Bill.
Okay. My next one is also from '91. I think I made LB watch it. It's called Hudson Hawk.
I have not seen that, no.
Hudson Hawk is literally a live-action cartoon starring Bruce Willis. Now, Bruce Willis did Die Hard and Die Hard 2 at this point, and he decided to do a movie called Hudson Hawk, in which he's an art thief who's getting out of prison in, like, 91. He's been in prison for over 10 years, and he's going to go straight, except everyone wants him to steal stuff. And the way he passed time in prison is that people would ask him how long songs were. And he'd tell them to the minute and the actual second of how long a song is. So, like, the first heist he makes, they rewind the VCRs on the tapes, so it'd play the same thing over and over and over again. And he goes, "What the hell's a VCR?" And they're like, "Don't worry about it. You got 4 minutes and 53 seconds." He goes, "Swinging on a Star." So they rob the place while singing on a star, or swinging on a star. And it is nonsensical to a degree because all the bad guys have cliche like jokes. Like, part of the villains are all named after like candy bars for no reason at all. And like, he makes jokes because he's never played Nintendo, but two of the guys who are like blackmailing him are the Mario brothers. There's these two henchmen who don't have names, and he goes, "What the hell are your guys' names?" Ig and Ook. And like the next scene, they fail and they get shot, and they literally say Ig and Ook when they die. Okay, this movie is balls to the wall insane, and it is so damn funny. It was a flop because no one thought Bruce Willis was a comedy guy. And this movie, if you watch it, is just a live-action cartoon in the strictest of sense. I recommend it highly, but that might just be me. Okay. LB, number 4.
4.
So my number 4 is The Replacements, which Bill mentioned earlier.
My
it's basically like, what if they remade The Little Giants with adults?
Yep.
So it came out in, what year was that?
01? 02?
It was at 2000.
2000.
Starring Keanu Reeves and Gene Hackman as the coach.
The coach, Gene Hackman, basically playing Hoosiers again.
Yeah. So the idea is, I don't remember the reason why, but there's a players' strike.
The players are asking for too much. I literally know this movie like the back of my head.
Just take it over, Bill.
Okay.
And I'll talk about it more later.
The players go on strike because they aren't getting paid enough. So the Washington, D.C. company says, "Screw it, we're not going to use them. We're going to use scabs." So they hire Gene Hackman to be the coach, and he goes, "We're going to pick replacements, and we're going to pick people who never made it or never got a chance in the big time." So it's literally a ragtag group of people. Like the two offensive guards are literally bodyguards for pop stars. The center is a sumo wrestler. What's his name? Oh shit! He played Happy Hogan. What's his name? Jon Favreau's in it. That's his name. Jon Favreau is in it. He plays like this. He plays a tackle and all. No, he plays the fullback, and he's like a. He was gonna be a police SWAT team, but he got kicked off for excessive force or some shit like that. And like the movie is just full of characters, like nonstop characters, and it's hilarious. So take it away, Albie.
Yeah, I mean, you even got, just like in Little Giants, you got the guy or the kid who can't catch.
Yeah.
So they play some, do something with his hands so he can catch the ball.
Coach, it looks like I jerked off an elephant.
Yeah. Keanu Reeves, pretty good in this movie, actually.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's not the most interesting character, but he's there. And honestly, he's kind of the straight character of the movie, really.
Ray,
in a cast of oddballs. So
what's his name? Ray Ifans, the guy who played the Lizard in the Amazing Spider-Man. He plays
Yep.
the
kicker.
the soccer player turned kicker, who just goes onto the field smoking a cigarette, not giving a shit.
just check it out. It's a good movie. That's
It's a great
That's all I
movie,
got.
and also it has one of my favorite ending lines to a movie ever, with Gene Hackman talking about at the end of it when spoilers, they win the big game. But it's not. It's like it's to the playoffs. They're not going to the playoffs because the strike ends
Right.
the day after. So
Right.
he goes. After the game, the replacement players for the Washington Sentinels, there was no ticker tape parade, no endorsement deals to sign, just a locker to clean up and a home to go back to. But for that one day, they were heroes. And it's like Gene Hackman can only deliver a line that great. It's just something really, really worth seeing. It's like your most cliche comedy action sports film, but it does it in spades.
Yep, that's it. Who's next?
Number 3.
Yes.
We'll keep going
Just-
on. Billy.
Yeah.
All right, let's go, sir.
I think I'm picking movies that are eventually going to become cult classics. I think that are underrated right now.
That's how we
Number 3, What We Do in the Shadows. One of my favorites. It is New Zealand based. Flight of the Conchords. Great movie about. Have both of you guys seen this? Have you seen this, LB?
I'm not.
Okay, Bill.
I've seen parts of it. I haven't actually sat down and watched all of it yet,
Okay.
but I'm really excited for also the sequel.
Yes. It's a werewolf movie. The movie is.
We Are Wolves or something like that.
Yeah, essentially. So what we do in the shadows is vampires living in modern day New Zealand. I believe New Zealand, and how they like suck blood from people and kind of exist as normal civilians in the real world. And they also 4 of them live together as roommates. And one of them, it's definitely a Nosferatu ripoff. He's like 1,400 years old. He lives in a concrete sarcophagus. And it's about them. They eventually bite this human guy and kind of have to live with him, live with turning people into zombies, vampires. It's kind of it's a synopsis-itis movie. Like, you really need to watch it. There's a great scene where vampires can't see themselves in the mirror. So they go out to the club every night, and in order to figure out how they look, they have to sketch photos of each other in a sketchbook. and they'll also put a mop up with they'll put the clothes on the mop so they can look in the mirror and see how they look. There's some great scenes where he tries to kill someone to suck their blood, and he accidentally hits their jugular vein, and blood's just spraying out everywhere. And he's like when the water fountain sprays, he puts his mouth over it, and blood's just shooting all over the room. This will be a movie that I think this came out in 2014. This movie, I think, by in 5 or 6 years, will be a cult classic. It will be one that people don't necessarily remember, but they've heard of. Check it out. Totally worth it. Totally funny. And the Flight of the Conchords guys do great stuff anyway. So
Yeah, they do. They really do.
So that's my 3rd.
My number 3 is a movie I know I made LB watch in our first apartment because I was so excited that we had it. It's a little movie in 1994 called Airheads.
Yeah.
We watched it on VHS.
We watched it on VHS, which stars Brendan Fraser, Steve Buscemi, and what's his name? Adam Sandler. And they are in a grunge band in the early 90s, and they can't get a record deal. So they hijack a radio station with water guns filled with hot sauce to get their song on the radio, except they can't get it to work. So they're in a hostage situation on the radio. And the parking lot turns into a big party. They find out that the radio station's getting sold and turned to easy rock. And this is a movie this was the first movie I ever saw Steve Buscemi in. So since we never knew how to pronounce his name, from here for the next 6 years, his name was Rex, because that's what his character was in this movie. One of my favorite parts in this whole movie, and why I'll always pick it as one of my favorite comedies, is towards the end, they're getting a record deal signed, and Harold Ramis comes to the door saying he's a record deal, a record executive. He's like, hey, let me in, come on guys, this is great. He makes something that both Brendan Fraser and Steve Buscemi think. He says something that's not right, so all right, we got to ask him a question. He goes, all right, in the David Lee Roth Van Halen split, which side did you take, Van Halen or Roth? He goes, Van Halen. He goes, get out of here, you pig. He goes, hey. It was a strict financial deal. They sold a lot more records that way. All right, fine. We'll give you another one. They pause for him, and he goes, all right, who would win in a fight? Lemmy or God? God. Aunt Lemmy. Aunt Lemmy is God, fuckhead. And like right there is enough to like make you go, oh, he's a cop, and he walks away, and you're like, okay, that's enough. But then what makes this movie so great, because like there's so many times in comedies where they just let jokes go like that. There's a scene with him going up to the main guy in charge of the standoff when the police is oh god, what's his name? Eddie.
Winston Zeddemore, right?
Yeah, Winston Zeddemore. What's his name?
Ernie Hudson.
Ernie Hudson. And Ernie Hudson gives it Harold Ramis a badge and a gun, and Harold Ramis looks pissed off as shit. I'm just like, this movie is great. Like they go through. Chris Farley's in it, and he doesn't like. This was before Chris Farley was a big star, so he was doing the same thing over and over again. So you got to see him play something else. Same with Sandler. Sandler wasn't a big star at this time, so he's playing a totally different character, and it's just a fun movie that I adore. I love this film to death. Obi, number 3.
These aren't in any order anymore. I'm gonna go with Run, Fat Boy, Run.
Oh yeah.
Billy and I were talking about this. This was directed by Ross from Friends. Stars Simon Pegg and
goddamn David Schwimmer.
I didn't know that.
Stars Simon Pegg and Hank Azaria and who's the female lead in this?
I'm pulling up the IMDb. Just stall.
She was in. I know who she is. She's been in a couple of decent sized movies.
Stall.
Stalling.
Yeah.
I'm stalling. I'm Sandy Newton. Yeah. Okay. So.
The chick from Westworld?
Yes.
Did not know that.
Yes. The chick. She's in Westworld.
Yeah.
I knew her from something else, but I don't remember what it was now. Anyway.
Rock she's and in The Pursuit of Happiness as well.
Oh yeah, she's in Rock and Roller. Rock and Roller.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway.
Sorry.
So.
Bill starts singing, making dirty noises.
Rock and Roller. 1, 2.
So Simon Pegg plays this guy's his girlfriend, his fiance, I guess. He left her while she was pregnant at the altar.
Mm-hmm.
Just ran away. He's trying to get her to let him back into her life. It's not working. He finds out she has a new boyfriend who becomes her fiance. And he decides that he's so frustrated with everything, he decides to enter a marathon race, which, he's not in great shape.
Too?
What's that?
Wasn't it against the fiance?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, the fiance is in the race, so he decides to race against him, and it's an adorable movie because he has a lot of interaction with his 5-year-old son who likes a girl because she likes tree frogs and he likes tree frogs.
It's a cute movie.
It's a super cute movie.
It's not one of Simon Pegg's best, but it's good.
It's definitely an underrated comedy that deserves to be on the list, though. I fully agree.
That's it. That's all I got.
It's good.
Billy.
Shit. Billy. Number 2.
My next one. When did this come out? This is recent too. All my movies are recent.
Billy gets around the whole cult classic problem by just picking recent films.
Picking recent movies. Swiss Army Man.
I hated this movie.
Oh, you hated this movie?
No, that movie's already a cult classic.
Yeah, it's already a cult classic. Veto.
You veto it?
No.
I really hate this movie, Bill. I love this movie.
Do you like it, LB?
Yeah, I love it. It's great.
I didn't catch it.
It's the only movie for me that's done boner and fart humor well.
Yeah.
So if you haven't seen the movie, Paul Dano's character is going to hang himself on an island because he's stranded on an island, and Daniel Radcliffe's body washes up on shore. And he goes to investigate him, and he lets out a giant fart right in his face. And come to find, he essentially becomes the Swiss Army Man. He can be used for anything. He rides him through the waves on the power of his farts. When he puts a Sports Illustrated swimsuit magazine up to him, his dick points in the direction of
they need to go.
civilization. He can use them to chop wood. Water comes out of his mouth. I will say the first time I watched this movie, I was not into it. But the more that I kind of watched it over and over, the more I liked it. And it's also Daniel Radcliffe's ridiculous attempt at trying to get away from the Harry Potter image. It's also done by, like, if you see a movie done by A24, A24 has been doing great movies lately. It's an A24 movie. They've been putting out amazing movies. And I think I think it was kind of skipped over because of the fact that it is boner and fart humor, you know.
I only laughed at one point.
Which one?
Oh fuck, they'll see everything.
The best part is too, though, that the entire soundtrack is done by both Paul Dano and Daniel Radcliffe. Mm-hmm. They sing the entire soundtrack. I have the soundtrack on my Spotify, and I love it. I think it's worth checking out. Yet again, I'm getting around the cult classic by just introducing a bunch of recent movies, but I don't think this movie got the love that I think it deserved.
My number 2 is the only one that it could be considered a cult classic, but I simply refuse to think it's a cult classic because not enough people know about it. So it is the 2006 greatest horror/comedy movie ever created by Mr. James Gunn himself, Slither.
I've never seen it.
Slither is literally the only movie I've ever seen that is the perfect mixture of horror and comedy at the same time. Michael Rooker gets infected by a space slug who takes over his body, and he starts eating animals and infesting a town with slugs that kill people. Well, take over their bodies. The sheriff is played by Nathan Fillion, and Michael Rooker's wife is played by Elizabeth Banks, and it's just the first half of the film is legitimately horror. Like, you're unhinged, you don't know what to think. At one point, when it switches is right when Rooker's character runs off as he's trying to kill Elizabeth Banks. Nathan Fillion comes running in with a whole police squad, and they're about to shoot him, and they see that his arm is literally now a tentacle, and he whips it out and starts going, and like runs away from him. And instead of shooting them, everyone is frozen with fear, and the first thing Nathan Fillion says is, "What the fuck was that?" I can quote this movie forever because it just they react so genuine to so much stuff that it's hilarious. I don't remember who plays the mayor. Who there's a bunch of references to other horror films in this too, where the mayor's name is MacReady.
Oh, okay.
And it's supposed to be the brother of R.J. MacReady. What is his name? He was the grandpa in Greg Henry. He plays the mayor, and he has these great hilarious moments where he's like can't process anything. So he opens up his cooler because they're on a stakeout all night, and he's like, "I told your secretary to pack Mr. Pibb because it's the only Coke I like. This ain't no fucking Mr. Pibb. Jesus Christ, Jack, I'll get right on that. We're dealing with some serious shit right now." And like all these monsters coming out, and like before the stakeout, he's talking to one of the deputies, and he's like, "So how about that other deputy? It was such like the only girl deputy." And the guy deputy goes, "Yeah, well, she brings a box lunch." "No shit, really?" And I'm like, what am I missing here? Is this Southern slang for a lesbian? And like it's so funny because like the quips back and forth are pure James Gunn, unadulterated hilariousness. And one of my favorite moments is when it's down between Nathan Fillion and this teenage girl that they save, and Nathan Fillion breaks into the police station to get guns, and he's attacked by a zombified deer, and the deer is kicking the shit out of him, and the girl comes up with a shotgun and blows him away. And he gets up and he goes, "Thanks." She goes, "No problem." He goes, "You know, the next time I tell that story, I'm gonna tell it the other way around, like I saved you from the deer." So the next chance they get, they're walking away from all the death and destruction. He goes, "Hey, why don't you tell her about how I saved you from the deer?" "Oh yeah, Bill saved me from a deer." It's so perfect. Like, if you want to know,
I've been meaning to track down a copy of it. I need to see it.
I bought this movie without seeing it in theaters day one on DVD, and I don't know why. Like, I was in our dorms, and I walked to our Target and bought it day one without ever seeing it. And I love this movie to death. I could quote it for hours. It ends with one of the greatest songs ever created by the Yahoos called "Baby I Love You," and the whole song is "Baby I love you, but leave me the fuck alone." It's beautiful. It is 100% fun. I recommend it full-heartedly, and that's why it's my number 2.
Perfect.
Obi, number 2. Baby,
Number 2, let's go with Forgetting Sarah Marshall, which this movie was actually, critics liked it. It did well at the box office, but no one talks about it anymore, I guess. Like, I never hear anyone who's seen it.
LB, can I just lump the sequel, Get Him to the Greek, with that? Like, just put those two together? Because I think that's a really...
Wait,
You've never seen it?
No.
Wait, this is Forgetting Sarah Marshall?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Get Him to the Greek
If
was
you get the
awful.
chance to watch Get Him to the Greek, oh,
Don't,
it was
bad.
fucking stupid.
It was
It was great.
It was fucking terrible. I watched it and wanted to punch myself in the dick.
So Forgetting Sarah Marshall stars, I can't even remember his name right now, the guy from How I Met Your Mother.
Marshall.
Marshall. Well, that's not confusing. So he breaks up
Jason
with...
Segel.
Jason Segel breaks up with...
Nope. Try again.
Veronica Mars.
Kristen Bell breaks up with Jason Segel.
With either way,
It's
same
important.
difference.
It's
So
important.
Veronica Mars breaks up with Marshall.
He's explaining movies like I explain movies.
And through some twist of fate, they both end up at the same resort together where she's with Russell Brand,
Yep.
who's some rock musician guy.
Which is the exact reason why I hate Get Him to the Greek.
And he ends up with Mila Kunis.
Mm-hmm.
And they have their rooms they share a wall, so you can imagine the awkwardness and fun they have with that. And it's great. There's puppets. There's Jason Segel's
Dracula
penis.
musical.
Dracula the musical. It's a good show. That's all I got.
Is this Judd Apatow?
I believe so.
Believe so,
No,
yeah.
it is not.
Really?
It has all the makeup to be one, but it's not.
I was going to say.
It was written by Jason Segel, but it was directed by Nicholas Stoller.
I was gonna say it doesn't have any of the Jason Segel or Judd Apatow people in it. So,
But it says from the guys who brought... because Jason Segel wrote 40-Year-Old Virgin and Knocked Up. Okay, gotcha. No, but it feels like it should be a Judd Apatow film. I'm actually kind of upset about that. This movie was great. I don't know why I don't talk about it more.
yeah, it's, every time I go watch a movie, I'm like, Zack and Miri make a porno. No, that's the wrong movie. It's like the same
Zack and
gear.
Miri make a porno.
I like it, but it's just I've seen that one more than once. I've only seen this one once. And it's like I always want to see this movie, but I can never seem to find it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
it's a
That's
great
it.
movie. It's actually a legit great movie. I love it. to
Yeah.
death. Number 1, Billy.
I'm going to get shit for this. I know. John C. Reilly in Walk Hard, the Dewey Cox story. This is my favorite stupid comedy movie of all time. If you have not seen this, you owe it to yourself to watch it. Have either of you seen this?
No. I only
Okay.
watch good films.
Fuck you, you fucking idiot. It is, if you've seen Walk the Line, or if you're familiar with Johnny Cash's life, it is a direct, it feels like somebody read the Wikipedia article of Walk the Line, and we're like, we're going to make a funny movie out of it. It's completely stupid. It's fucking stupid. John C. Reilly's character, Dewey Cox, kind of lives the story of what Johnny Cash would have went through, but for some reason it's all like hypersped, so he ends up going through the punk era and going through Bob Dylan's time. He ends up meeting the Beatles and taking LSD with the Beatles, which is one of the greatest scenes. Just look it up, because the Beatles are played by Jason Schwartzman. Jack Black plays Paul, and then Justin Long, and the one guy I can't remember. One of the greatest scenes. They wrote full-fledged songs. They wrote an entire soundtrack of like 8 or 9 different songs for the movie. He gets famous when he's discovered by the 2 Jewish record producers, Mazel Tov and L'Chaim, after singing Craig Robinson's in it. Like every big comedian that you would think ends up in this movie. Does anyone remember Frankie Muniz?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Malcolm in the Middle, man. That was my
Yeah,
bread
he
and
played.
butter.
he plays Buddy Holly. Jack White plays Elvis. The celebrity cameos in it are ridiculous. Also, I love that both the Blu-rays are a gold record and a silver record. It's stupid. It's very stupid. The best joke I can point out from it is, if you know Walk the Line, his little brother dies, or his brother dies when he's like pushing a log on a cutter, like on a table saw, and he falls on it and he kills himself. In the movie, the two brothers are like, let's go out and do some fun, not dangerous stuff. So they like poke a bull and get chased by the bull, and then they decide to have machete fights. So they start swinging machetes with covers on them, and Dewey Cox winds back and swings, and the cover comes off, and he chops his brother in half with a machete. And so for the rest of his life, he's haunted by machetes. And his dad shows up incrementally throughout the entire movie and looks at him and goes, "The wrong kid died." And like he'll be having sex, like he has an orgy at one part, and his dad opens the door and he's like, "The wrong kid died," and then just walks away. Like it's a terrible movie, but it's hilarious. And I think it's completely underrated. Number one, right there. I like how all of these are like modern movies, but then I go to a John C. Reilly film for my number one. God damn.
Okay, so
Do you feel bad?
I feel bad.
Yeah, I always feel bad saying I like this movie. I'm kind of guilty. Like I feel guilty when I say that I like this movie.
I have my guilty pleasure comedies that we'll do another list for another time. Psst, spoiler alerts, my number one is Euro Trip. What up? But my number one underrated comedy is a film from '93. You don't know it because it went up against Jurassic Park and got slaughtered. It is a movie that was meta before meta was cool. And it was a movie where a giant action star made fun of himself first.
Jingle All the Way?
Before that, Last Action Hero.
Oh no.
Arnold Schwarzenegger makes fun of himself, and it is amazing. This movie is every Arnold Schwarzenegger joke done by Arnold Schwarzenegger. Like, it is so funny. On top of that, there's a great performances by Charles Dance because he's eating up the scenery as the bad guy, and he has some of the greatest delivered lines in the end. And you know, we talk about quotable movie lines. I just love it where he goes, "Rubber baby buggy bumpers, huh? You didn't think I was gonna say that, did you?" Or the point where like this kid goes to see an Arnold Schwarzenegger movie called Jack Slater, and four. And he gets an advance ticket, and they use a ticket from the cameraman got it from Harold Houdini himself. So he uses it, and the kid gets sucked into the movie, and now he's in the movie world. And there's a bunch of times where he's trying to explain to him that this is a movie. You know, things don't happen. Here, let's get this girl's number. And like all the chicks are incredibly hot. And he goes, "What's your number?" 555-0123. And you go, "Okay, what's your number? What's the number for the place?" 555-0011. And he's like, "Oh, I guarantee everybody's number starts with 555. So how can you have everybody have a phone number if everything starts with 555? He's like, "That's what the area codes are for." It's just everything is so. He's like, "All right, let's go to the movie store," and they go to like a Blockbuster, and they go, "Okay, where are your action films?" And he goes to turn on to find Terminator 2, and Sylvester Stallone is the Terminator. And Arnold goes, "It's a great movie. It's one of his best. People loved it." and it's nothing but that nonstop. Where like Arnold crawls out of a tar pit and wipes it all off with a towel, and he goes, "Tar usually sticks to people." He goes, "What do you say? It's a movie." Or like when Arnold starts to get down on the glumps, he like goes to his apartment that isn't all decked out or anything, and he just randomly pulls out a gun and shoots at the closet, and a ninja's in there, and he falls over dead. And he goes, "How'd you know the guy was gonna be in there?" He goes, "You said it's a movie. Plus, there's always a guy in there. It's costing me a fortune in closet doors." And in the closet is all the same outfit, always the same outfit, and it's like packed filled with great one-liners. Where it's like, if you ever need a chance, you got to look up the first action scene where he's like, he kills a guy by blowing up an ice cream truck, and the ice cream gets stuck in a guy's eye. And he goes, "I iced that guy." Kona phrase. It's just, and if you ever wanted to know what Arnold Schwarzenegger, like premium Arnold Schwarzenegger time, what it would look like if he made Hamlet, they have that scene in here where the kid starts daydreaming about Hamlet, but if it was an Arnold Schwarzenegger movie. Movie is fantastic, and I love it. I recommend
Damn, girl.
It's great.
It's good stuff.
It's like I said, the reason you don't know about it is because it went up against Jurassic Park. And
Billy, have you seen it?
Billy, have you seen it?
I've seen like parts of it.
You need
I haven't
to
seen the whole thing.
You need to sit down and watch it. Yeah, the kid parts are annoying and dumb, but again, Charles Dance has this great line towards the end where they're in the real world, and he starts shooting at Jack Slater, Arnold Schwarzenegger's character, with a revolver, and all of a sudden he goes click, and Arnold Schwarzenegger gets up and goes, "What is that? Did you make one of the classic movie blunders? Did you forget to reload the goddamn gun?" And Charles Dance just goes, "No, Jack. I just left one chamber open," and shoots him. And like he delivers this great line about how he has the ticket, and he goes like, because in the real world the bad guys win, Jack. I could snap my fingers, and have the greatest movie villains of all time: A Nightmare with Freddy Krueger, Dinner with Hannibal. And he's like Charles Dance eats up the whole scenery, and like. As stated before when I talked about how great Masters of the Universe is, because Frank Langella as Skeletor is great.
Yeah.
Charles Dance in this movie is over the top. And if you know Charles Dance from Game of Thrones, you always expect him to be a well-respected, I'm an actor's actor. And just him eating up the scenery, cheesing it up is worth watching alone without the meta humor. OB, your number one pick.
Last but not least.
This movie is, I'm going to see if you can guess it. It's set in the year 1998. Features Rush in the soundtrack. Stars Bill. What is it, Bill? You already know it? Band Boys. So it's a movie about these four guys who decide to go steal episode 1 before it hits theaters. They break into what Lucas Ranch or what Skywalker Ranch?
Skywalker Ranch.
Because the one friend is gonna be dead before the movie comes out.
Yes. So it's a road trip movie. Stars Dan Fogler, Jay Baruchel, Chris Marquette, and crap. I just had it.
Jay?
It was Sam Huntington.
No, Sam Huntington.
Which these are all people whose names you might not necessarily know of, but you've seen them in a bunch of things. And Veronica Mars is in this as well.
Damn, Veronica Mars just showed up and everything.
It's my top 2 somehow. It's hilarious. There's a lot of obviously Star Wars pop culture and even Star Trek references. It's a great adventure movie, comedy, buddy, comedy,
Comedy.
Romp.
Okay.
Bill.
And that's the top 15 underrated comedy films.
Hey,
All right.
no vetoed anyone.
Nobody vetoed anything. I came very close to vetoing Billy because he was cheating.
Fuck you.
Billy's whole list gone.
Gone. Just
Hey, Bill.
Hmm.
Fuck you.
funny story. The night we saw Fanboys, we went out and I almost bought a copy of it and almost had Craig Robinson sign it because we got to meet him the night after we saw that movie, and he's in it.
Was he in Fanboys?
Yeah, he plays one of the security guards at Skywalker Ranch.
Yeah, you got to meet Craig Robinson.
Yeah, I got to meet Craig Robinson. Yep, I told him.
I had to work.
I told him we know him as Havana Bob from PG Porn from James Gunn. So
yeah,
and he signed our tickets as Havana Bob. No, I really like Fanboys. I really do. But yeah, that's the top 15 underrated comedies. Thank you so much for not watching this. Nobody. And we'll see you hopefully next month with an actual podcast. But until then, expect Game of Thrones reviews and some other stuff.
Love you.
Say bye, everybody.
See you in 3
Love
months.
See you next year, January 2018. Here we come.
Bye.